example, one thing we always notice that we sort of smile about is students will come and sit down into our assessment center, and by default, obviously the PCs are switched off, but to turn them on, they will tap on the screen of the desktop, which is, again, it's an unfamiliarity with that kind of technology.
Hello and welcome to the Test Community Network. My name is Tim Burnett. I hope you're safe and well. This is episode 2 in our mini-series looking at higher education, digital frontiers. And this week we're going to be looking at hybrid assessment. We're going to be talking about a Kickstart program that the BCU guys, Birmingham City University, have employed to help with the digital literacy of the students, so that they're familiar with the assessment tools, and just some background to that as to why they've had to go through there. I'm going to be looking at just a recap really on the amazing project work that they were doing, and this kind of award-winning idea of hybrid assessment and the importance it's got for their learner base. So as ever, anything you see on here you want to find out more about, then go to the Test Community Network. On there you'll also find the opportunity to subscribe. You'll receive an email through once a week full of amazing range of resources, webinars, podcasts, marketplace items, things that you'll have missed on your social media platforms. So it's all condensed. Basically pick all the best stuff for you and put that in the email. We've also got the webinar for AI superpowers in research. I'm going to be doing a bit of an update on this soon because the landscape is changing massively. So if you're not using it, if you're not looking at research tools, deep research, that kind of thing, then you should be. It's amazing stuff. We've also got the leadership webinar that I did with Amanda, Leslie, and Liberty, looking at how you can negotiate the hype and fear of AI in the assessment space. And then just looking ahead to other conferences. So a very big conference next week is Innovations in Testing in Orlando. That's in person, so I look forward to seeing you there straight after it. If you're going to the Performance Testing Council, then make sure you attend that. And then we've got a great webinar. So if you're interested in AI-based marking, then Grade, one of the players in the space, is worth checking them out. So you can go to their webinar they've got coming up on the 20th of March. That's tomorrow. Actually, it's today. This episode's going out today. There's Educationscape. You want to check that out. They're looking at AI tools for assessment. Inspira have got a webinar, What Do Educators and Students Want from AI? We've got the EBMA, it's the European Board of Medical Assessors. They've got a virtual conference coming up on the 2nd of April. Then we've got podcasts. We've got the Beyond Technology Education 4.0. This is looking at empowering students through Adobe Express. If you're interested in that, it's worth checking that out. Creativity and Culture Architecture, conversation with Alistair Bullen. It's worth listening to that on the player. So there's lots of other amazing episodes on there. I'm just picking a few out for you. So Joining the Dots, Lost Words, How Children Struggle to Participate when they can't articulate. So it's worth looking at that. In the marketplace, so big news in the UK, we've got the curriculum and assessment review that's come out. That's kind of the UK Gov, so that applies to England. They've published their initial findings. I'm going to be looking at that with a lot of scrutiny. I want to know how we're preparing students for the future, not just the immediate and past life that we've been living. ITS got a press release out about reinventing remote proctoring. It's worth having a look at that. And then we've got some other content, the Great Online Learning Reset with Dr. Philippa Hardman. So as I mentioned, these episodes that I'm putting out at the moment is part of a kind of mini-series that I'm putting together. So we had Leslie last week, so I'm going to play a quick clip. So just to remind you what Leslie was talking about, here we go.
When you factor in the number of international students who will have had a whole variety of different experiences before they come, and mature students, I don't think it's really true that that old traditional A-level is what everyone came with is actually true anymore. So I think it puts you in a different landscape anyway.
So Leslie talked about her experiences with Bring Your Own Device, her role as a registrar and what that means within the institution. She also talked about some court cases around student welfare and some the impact that's having on the higher education space as well. And then next week, after my conversation with Tom and Elliot this week, I've got Lisa Greenslade who's going to be talking about her journey in basically massively upscaling for digital assessment. So having a large hall venues and just filling them full of students with laptops and how that played out for us. So here's a quick clip for you now.
You know, I approached Excel and said, have you ever done anything like this before? I'm thinking of turning, you know, one of your halls or two of your halls into a huge computer lab, basically. And they said, we haven't really done anything at that scale, but it doesn't mean it can't be achieved. And then, I was speaking to other stakeholders for those that, were supplying the power. And again, they were like, we've never done anything like this.
So that's going to be next week. Now on to my conversation with Tom and Elliot, and just talking about the work at BCU, so Birmingham City University, their Kickstart literacy program, and their experiences in what's going on with assessment at the moment, particularly within the higher education context, about the fear around impact of AI and how that's affecting their numbers for their hybrid. So here's me in conversation with Tom and Elliot. Elliot, thank you for joining me. Are you well?
Really
yes.
well, thank you.
Excellent.
How are you doing, Tim?
I'm very good. It's a nice, bright, sunny day here, so so we're not doing too bad. So just to remind everyone who you are, what you do. Tom, do you want to lead first? Just tell us about your organisation and your role within it, and then Elliot can chip in.
Yeah, so I'm Tom Ashmore. I'm the digital assessment designer over at Birmingham City University. So it's my job to work with students and staff to create a model of assessment that works for everybody. We're quite a unique institution with over 30,000 students. A lot of our students are commuters, so a lot of them travel into the city to take their exams, which means we have quite a unique student population from a lot of different backgrounds, ages. And I'll pass over to Elliot.
I'm the Senior Digital Assessment Coordinator at BCU, and kind of, what Tom said. But,
excellent.
So my job is about the vision, and then Elliot does all the number crunching, all the software behind the scenes to make sure it works for everybody.
I'm the executor of things as well.
Right. Okay. And you came to, well, we first kind of met when you won an award. Do you want to tell us a bit more about the award and what you won that for?
I'll hand over to our award winner.
All right.
You went up on stage, didn't you, Elliot? And you picked it up.
Did,
so
yeah.
You deserve that limelight.
I picked up 3 awards that evening. So we won an award based around just the model itself, the hybrid model that we do. We then also managed to swing kind of team of the year as well. So that was really nice for me and Tom. And then I also won practitioner of the year as well. If it helps, I can get the award now and show it on camera. If
you got it there, yeah.
Of course I have. Sits on my shelf. It's a very nice.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, so that's the E-Assessment Association Awards, isn't it?
I'll put it there for the rest of it.
For anyone listening as well, you can. I think you can still enter as well for this year. So get your submissions in. So you mentioned the hybrid model. What's the hybrid model, Tom?
So I'll take over for that part then. So the hybrid model allows students to choose the location of their exams. So they can choose to sit their exams on campus in our assessment centre, or they can sit their exams remotely using their own device. The really important thing is the exams happen concurrently and they sit the same method regardless of location. So it's the same process, only thing that changes is the location. That's to make sure there's equality across the assessment. But all students are sat taking their exam. They are live recorded if they sit remotely. So they're proctored live by a real person, usually one of us or our invigilation team. Or if they sit on campus, they're not recorded, but they are invigilated in the traditional sense with an invigilator walking up and down our big assessment hall full of computers. The idea is it gives students a lot of choice and flexibility in how they take their exams. It helps students meet their various accessibility needs, medical needs, and it means that students who would otherwise have to spend a lot of money traveling or would have to travel a very long way can sit their exam remotely. And the aim is to make sure as many students as possible can sit their exams without things like travel or enablement needs disrupting their attempt to sit. It's very much about making sure everyone gets the best shot at doing well.
Excellent. I think that's obviously that was the pitch there that won the award, I think, because it's an outstanding message to get across, isn't it? We'll come on to that in a little bit more detail in a bit, just to kind of see how things have progressed over time. But I think one area that, from our pre-chat that I really want to kind of pick up on is you were talking about the students and the kind of some of your big focus recently is about training digital kind of skills for the students. Do you want to kind of fill us in that picture? What's been happening in that space?
So something that honestly Elliot has been working primarily on, but some sort of we sort of had this vision for a program called Digital Kickstart. The idea is it's a real kickstart and a boost as students join the university to boost their digital literacy skills and make sure they're as equipped as possible to learn in a hybrid environment. So at BCU, not just our exams are hybrid, but our learning is hybrid as well. There's in-person and face-to-face lectures and teaching, but there's also some remote elements as well. And what we found kind of against the trend that's sort of been said that the younger generations are the most digitally literate they've ever been, is we found that some young people who'd come from all sorts of different backgrounds really were challenged by the use of PCs and software on PCs, like the Microsoft package, even things like using Outlook to send emails. They might never have done that before, depending on where they went to school or college or where they did their A-levels. And we didn't want that to act as a barrier to their success when they entered the institution. So we've started running these short courses. They're usually about 15 minutes to an hour long, training primarily level 4 and level 7 students. It's their first time at the university. We'll go into classrooms and do dedicated teaching sessions, small group sessions, one-on-one sessions, to train these new students on how to kind of uplift their digital literacy skills and make sure that they can engage with the key teaching. Obviously, for the in-person stuff, that's much easier. You can walk into the room, but we didn't want any barrier for the digital side. Given our experience sort of making an accessible and inclusive digital platform for exams, we thought we were well positioned, hopefully, to kind of lead that experience into making a really good onboarding process for students. And it's not compulsory. It's very much for students who we feel need it, which is we work collaboratively with like the module leads. So if the module leads sort of identify there are some students in the group who might need our support, we'll go in and do a classroom session. It's very much a collaborative effort between us, the enablement team, the Centre for Academic Success, which we're a part of, which is our sort of central team for learning and teaching. So we work collaboratively with them, and then also the enablement team to kind of bring it all together and run this digital boost for students.
And why is it then that they need these skills? What is it that they're lacking? You mentioned they're kind of, they don't know how to use desktop software and desktop. What are they using then if they're not using usual?
I describe it in sort of two halves. It's not they don't know how. I think it's just an unfamiliarity. It's more of, for example, one thing we always notice that we sort of smile about is students will come and sit down into our assessment center, and by default, obviously the PCs are switched off. But to turn them on, they will tap on the screen of the desktop, which is, again, it's an unfamiliarity with that kind of technology. My brother, for example, a lot of young people I know, they use tablets at college and at school. So it might be not the first time they've used a PC, but one of the first times. They may have done IT at school and been in IT labs, but it's probably been very separated into this is how you get your IT GCSE. So they have probably not used one in their day-to-day life like we would have done maybe a few decades ago. I remember when I was a young person, I would use a PC to watch things like YouTube or videos or to search things on the internet. But a lot of people now use their phones to do that. So I think there's an unfamiliarity with the technology, but a willingness to learn. So we wanted to just give students a chance to come into the assessment center, look at the PCs, have a go at using them. Some of the sessions give them simple tasks like how to go onto their browser, how to save links, how to get good, how to use Google Scholar to get good references. It's very much stuff that they've probably done on their phone. I'm sure every one of those students has used Google or some other search engine. They've just never used it in that way. And then obviously mature students and students from different backgrounds feed into that as well. So we wanted to make it very much a for everybody experience, regardless of if they use tablets or no technology at all. It's very much a very entry-level basic experience sort of toolkit.
As well, to add on to kind of the maturer students, one thing that always comes out of sessions I do, or if I'm talking to someone like that, is they'll kind of just end it with, "Oh, I'm too scared to use the computer. I don't want to break it." And that's kind of the gist of it. And my kind of message I sent them is just have a go. You probably won't break it. You might not know enough to break it, so just give it a go. But I think what Tom said, it's unfamiliarity, and then it's also maybe a fear of using it as well, because it's expensive. They don't want to break it, so they'd just rather not use it. I think.
And is it just kind of younger students, or is it are we talking other students? Is there a particular pockets? Is there international students? Is there mature students? Are there any kind of particular groups then, other than maybe the ones that come through app-based kind of education at the moment?
I think it always surprises you. It surprises me at Elliot, I think, sometimes who these questions come from. It can be people our age, any background. One thing we've tried to do is remove any colonizing language from the way we use terms. So what we tend to say now instead of Google is use a search engine and then give some examples for international students who might not have Google in their home country.
Yeah.
Stuff like that to make it more accessible. But some international students have no problem with it at all. The way I describe it is it's the equivalent of students who are writing their essays will sometimes write them on their notes app on their phone and really struggle. So it's almost like they know what they should be doing. They know how these text applications work, but they might not realize it's much easier to write on a PC with Microsoft Word because no one's ever told them. And then once you sort of direct them there, they pick it up really quickly because a lot of those skills they use on their mobile or use in their everyday life are transferable. It's more about directing them to the most, proficient way to do it. Giving that little nudge in the right direction. Stuff like instead of using Excel on your phone, use it on the PC. It makes it easier to save it to our BCU OneDrive. And they might have used OneDrive again on their mobile or on the tablet, but they haven't really had those pieces to think, oh, I should save my coursework to my university OneDrive so I can't lose it. It's stuff that really, if you're not experimenting, like Elliot said, because they're nervous to break it, they've never tried it. So you've just got to give them that nudge to say, oh, have you tried it like this? Have you thought about this?
And that
but
I think predominantly there's kind of, I'd say 3 groups really we see it in, which would be kind of maybe people coming up to university, mature students, maybe returning to education, and then international. But like Tom said, it will just surprise you who comes out with these kind of like gaps in knowledge. Like we might have courses where you'd think, oh, these students are always using computers. The whole thing is about computers. They'll know what to do. And sometimes they just get to the exam and it switches off and they just can't go further.
So it sounds like a very worthwhile kind of experience, and one that you need to keep in the mindset, because particularly, as people are developing user interfaces and applications for the examinations and the structures, that they need to think about, that digital literacy kind of experience, and this familiarization is still quite important. So just when we talked about the hybrid side, then just switching back to that, what change have you seen then over time in terms of your hybrid model? Have you seen a preference for more on-campus testing, more remote, or has it remained pretty much the same?
It's been pretty consistent throughout. We still see about 25% of students come to campus and about 75% sit remotely, which is kind of in line with the way the institution is built and the intakes we have, with most of them being remote students. So that's to be expected. I think the biggest change is not the actual delivery of the exams, but our approach to teaching digital literacy skills to prepare students for the exams. We don't want digital exams to be a barrier for anybody. That was part of the design. So it's almost like a backup fail-safe, so that if anybody would be disadvantaged by sitting on a PC, they're already trained ahead of time. And honestly, it wasn't really something that students necessarily asked for. I think there's a lot of embarrassment around students coming to exams and saying, oh, I don't know how to turn the computer on. But we don't want any students to sort of sit in silence and be embarrassed about their digital literacy skills. So it's something that Elliot and I sort of sat down and had a conversation about and thought, what if we got proactive rather than waiting for students to come to help when they get to the exam? It's almost too late then. We wanted to get proactive and help students when they join the university, so that they have those skills their entire learning experience before they reach our sort of end stage of assessment.
And then in terms of scale of assessments that have been delivered, and particularly the kind of impact of AI potentially on the way that you assess, have you noticed any changes there? Has there been any difference in behavior?
So I think our digital exam platform is very well positioned to combat AI, which is a good thing in the sense that we don't have many referrals made for AI during the actual exam process. And when we do, it's very clear that they have used AI because of the recording element. So I'd say the biggest impact it's had is the confidence in exams has increased, where I think the confidence in coursework has decreased. There's a lot of fear in the academic community about AI sort of replacing the need for essays. We work with the Centre for Academic Success, and I think they've noticed as well, and they work very closely with module leads, just for context, about how they build assessments and train students and teach. There is a sort of AI fear, I think, across the whole sector. So I think our technology being well positioned means that we've taken on a lot of workload from courses that now have moved from coursework to exams. with a slight asterisk. I think some of that is a reversion back to how they used to be post-COVID, because I know a lot of during COVID, a lot of exams became coursework. So it might be that they're moving back. But anecdotally, we've heard from a lot of staff that movement back is also been fueled by fear of AI.
So definitely some trends to monitor and watch there over time. You mentioned just before the scale of the exams that you're delivering has gone up, significantly.
I think our institution is still recruiting and growing. We're still quite a new institution, really, and only a year ago we had about 15,000 submissions and a year, and now we're up to about 20,000, with this year being the biggest intake we've ever had. For context, we've had about 11,000 submissions this year so far, this academic year.
Right.
2 years ago, that was what we had in the year in total.
Yeah.
But one thing I think this kind of proves is the scalability of digital exams. Our team hasn't grown. We're still 5 people strong, and we've managed to do almost double the work, in quotes. It's not, obviously. But because we have that infrastructure in place, the digital exams are so scalable because there's no cap on how many people can sit in a room because it's digital. If that was on campus, obviously, we'd have to find twice as many seats. We'd have to find huge exam halls to put these students in so they can sit their exams. But with the digital exams, we only have to really prepare campus for about 25% of students, which is much easier to manage and much more scalable. So again, and I'm not positioning digital exams as a solution to the AI problem, but I think we've kind of been positioned really nicely to be a counter to AI and allow the university to intake more students without any detriment. So I think that is a huge positive in terms of exams.
Excellent. That sounds good. That's very positive then. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time. I think before we go, could we just have one more flash of that award there, Elliot?
Oh, of course, Tom.
Don't be none of what I said would be possible without Elliot's hard work, making it all work behind the scenes.
This is the important part.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, guys. And I look forward to hearing more from you in the future in terms of that continued growth and to continue adapting to the use of technology and the opportunities that are forward. So thank you, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. That was excellent. And next week, we'll be in conversation, as before I said, with Lisa Greenslade. She's going to be talking about her journey in delivering very, very large volumes of digital-based examinations in single and multiple locations, but just her experience in where she sources the computers, the powers, the internet, extra, everything you need to deliver large exams at large scale. So thank you to Tom and Elliot. Thank you to Leslie last week, and I'll join you next week for the last in our little mini series on higher education. Thank you and goodbye.